It's Dave here from Amplify, and I'm talking to the magical Mike Scott from the Waterboys. Mike, how are you?
I'm fine, Dave. Thank you for asking.
That is great. That is great. Okay, so just an initial, one of those initial stupid questions, but I think for people that, might just pick up the interview and may not have the history, even for the people with the history, how did it start some 42 odd years ago, or 40
Well,
plus years ago?
I'm from Edinburgh in Scotland, and I'm a electric guitar player and singer and songwriter. And I moved down to London to find like-minded musicians and to make it in the world of rock and roll. And I formed the Waterboys in 1982 or three, and we played our first shows in '84. We've been releasing albums since our self-titled debut in 1983.
Wow, and that was a good one. And they've all been good, but that was especially good. Okay, you started as a solo artist in
More
82,
or less.
82, and then found the band, and then basically 10 years later stopped to do solo again. Is that right? And then,
Well, I was the only guy signed to the record company in 1982, but I didn't really want to trade, as it were, as a solo artist. I wanted to find a band, so that's what I did. But the very first record that we already mentioned, that was more or less a solo record done with me playing most of the instruments.
okay, and the band, the 2000 edition was the same as the 93 edition, or was there changes in
No, the
between?
band has always changed. No
Really?
edition is the same as any other edition.
Except for you.
Yeah.
Except for you. You're the constant. So that's really interesting. All right, now they say you moved from big music to folk music, and apparently you play a combination these days. Earlier sound was new wave, described as post-punk. How would you describe your sound?
Well, certainly I came through the punk revolution. I fought in the punk wars, and my early Waterboys records had a bit of that new wave punk sensibility. But I was never happy to be defined by that or constricted by it. I would always play acoustic guitar on the records and piano and I would always overdub and do multiple instruments doing a wider sound. I never wanted to be held down. I just wanted to do what the music required. So that's always been what I've done. And I've moved through different fascinations, different interests. In the second half of the 80s, I got interested in roots music, country music, music that I could play acoustically with my band members. And then later I got interested in other kinds of music and these days I feel I can play anything I want to play. And I've got a band of sufficiently versatile players with me who can put their hand to more or less anything. So if we want to play funk and soul, we can do that. If we want to play acoustic country rock, we can do that. If we want to get our balls out and play rock and roll or Chuck Berry, we can do that.
And is it predominantly you driving it, like Bon Jovi? Is it predominantly you're the boss and everyone follows, or is it a bit?
It's not really. No, I'm definitely the band leader and the musical director, but the musicians I work with are so good that I don't have to tell them what to play, and they'd probably tell me where to go if I did. I've
Okay.
got two amazing keyboard players, Brother Paul from Memphis and James from Cornwall, and they're both around about a little bit younger than me, but they've been playing for so long they don't need anybody to tell them what to do. They're just absolutely brilliant. And we've got a killer rhythm section. I just let them get on with it. Now and again, I might give a nudge. I might say, can we take it in this direction? But that's a fairly rare occurrence.
And that's the same with the writing. The writing comes from a mix, or is it predominantly one or two people?
It's a mix these days. I still write on my own, words and music. So every album probably has some songs that are credited just to me as a songwriter. But I co-write, especially with James, our piano player, Mr. Hallowell. And I also co-write sometimes with Angus, our bass player, and Brother Paul, our other keyboard player. So yes, I mix it up with all of them. And I write with people outside the band as well.
And would you say, would you say you're inspired by artists, or would you say it's predominantly unique Waterboys sort of driving it through? I
I
know that
think it,
everyone gets inspired or looks at other people,
yeah.
but I think would you say that it's predominantly you're the it's a Waterboys sound. It's not really influenced. That's
Oh
probably a
gosh,
stupid question because it's
it's a
probably
hard question to answer.
it's
Yeah,
too it's an impossible question. All right,
yeah.
just before I move on to the album, um, the Brits and Irish, they get along okay. I mean, the 80s wasn't too far away from, all the stoushes and all that sort of stuff. Nothing,
You mean the
nothing.
IRA and the
Yeah,
troubles and all
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the 70s
Uh,
and that
uh.
no
It's
issue
quite,
with the band.
no, I never affected the Waterboys as a band at all. Um, all that situation is quieter now, which is a good thing. It's still a concern. I don't mean I'm worried about one side or the other. I mean, the question of whether there will be a united Ireland is still a concern. It's
Yeah, I
still a
think
thing that
I
people
think there
talk
could be
about.
that could be like America where, they don't say anything for a generation, and all of a sudden it all comes back and, white supremacists, here we go. So let's hope that
Oh
that's
well,
not the case.
we have morons here as well.
Yeah. I
But
see.
they've no power and they've no influence and they've no real significance here, which I'm grateful for. You see, Ireland is a liberal country emerging from decades of religious persecution trauma.
Yeah,
That trauma began to fade in the 1960s and 70s. It lost its power in the 80s and 90s. And since then, Ireland has been breaking free from it. It's a wonderful thing to see. And I'm very glad to live in a country that is opening. And so I think those repressive white supremacist style backward voices don't have much purchase here.
yeah,
And that's
which
a
is good,
great.
which is good. And just to put a music flavour on it, how's the music changed over there in Britain in the past 40 odd years, 50 years with the technology and all that? Similar to the rest of the world, or is it
Same as
sort of
everywhere else. Same as everywhere else, I
so
think.
so everyone's having the same challenges there as everywhere else,
Yeah, I
costs
think
and
so.
whatever. All right, let's get on to it. Life, Death, and Dennis Hopper. Let's have a bit of a chat about that. What's that all about?
Okay.
Where did that come from?
It's all about the American actor Dennis Hopper, and in fact, it is his biography in a series of songs and
Oh my
instrumentals.
God. What a superstar he is. What a
Yeah,
talent, but not only a talent, what a unique individual,
what a character! Yes.
what a character. And so was it the character when you came to think about writing this album, what was it that drew you to it? Was it something that you'd seen or something you'd loved
Mhm.
for a period of time?
It was his character, and also very strongly the way that he'd been present at so many crucial points in the development of pop culture. He acted with James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause, which many people, including me, consider the big bang of teenage
Sure,
culture.
sure.
And then he was around at the beginnings of pop art. He was an early champion of Andy Warhol. And then later he was in Haight Ashbury when all that was happening. He was at the LA riots. He was at civil rights demonstrations. He was part of the new Hollywood in the late 60s, early 70s, present at all these amazing moments of pop culture. And not just a bystander, but a participant and a pioneer. So a fantastically interesting life.
And how do you write songs about it? What are the motivation for like the songs? Do you pick a period,
Yeah.
or do you pick a part of his nature? What is it that you write about?
Periods, incidents, character. And once I had the concept that it was going to be his life story, that brought in a kind of responsibility to cover all the areas that should be covered. So, for example, I knew that late in life he became a golfer. And in fact, Willie Nelson taught him how to play golf. So I thought, oh, there's got to be a song in that. And there was. And it's on the album and it's called Golf, they say. And I also knew that sometimes he punched his girlfriends or he punched his first wife. And I thought, all right, well, there's going to be a song in there. He's not getting away with that on this record. So I wrote a song called Letter from an Unknown Girlfriend, and Fiona Apple sang that one, and so on. And I would dive into, he was at the Monterey Pop Festival, which was
Was
the father of all the modern pop festivals. And so I thought, all right, there's some, I can do something about that. and so on. And it just one thing led to another. It was like almost like a painting that I had to color in.
He wasn't from, my recollection, he wasn't all that out there, in the news or whatever, egoically, you know, being in the forefront. He seemed to live a bit of a quiet existence, or, I'm sure he
Mm.
played up in his own space. So,
Yeah. He had his two or 3 years after Easy Rider, that's 69 to 71, where he was Mr. Counterculture and everybody wanted to talk to him. And Rolling Stone and Esquire and Life were sending reporters to the scene of his next movie. But then after the follow-up to Easy Rider, which was called The Last Movie, after that bombed, that cultural moment was over, and Dennis was no longer a spokesman like that. That was the
yeah,
only time I think he was really out front.
yeah, yeah. And the song. So there's how many songs on the album?
Well, 25 pieces. I think about 17 or 18 are songs. And then there's some instrumentals and there's some little vignettes.
Okay, so give us, someone's going to come to the album fresh. Give us two or three tracks that in your view they've got to listen to sort of get the flavour of what you've written.
Well, they could listen to the opening track, Kansas, which was written by me and Steve Earle, and Steve sings the lead vocal on it. And they could check out Hoppers on Top, which is probably my favorite track in the album. It's about the moment when he was on top of the world after Easy Rider. And they could listen to 10 Years Gone, which is about his lost decade of debauchery and addiction. And that's got Bruce Springsteen doing a voiceover at the end of the track. And it's another of my favorites on the record.
Okay, okay. And have you toured it already? Have you
Yes.
where have you toured
Yeah.
it?
We toured it all around Europe and the USA and Canada last year. We did about 80 shows and it went really great. And the shape of the show, and this is what we're bringing to Australia and New Zealand in
In
May,
May, yeah.
is that we'll come out and we play a half hour or so of fairly familiar, well-known Waterboys music. And then we'll play 45 minutes of the Hopper music. Not the whole record, but enough to tell the story. And then we'll do another half hour of familiar, well-known Waterboys music, and then encores, should they call us back, which they hopefully will. And I took that template, that show shape from the way that the Who introduced Tommy to their audiences in
Yeah, yeah,
1969.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so there you go. Some history, something you
Yeah.
remembered or something you read about.
Something I remembered is I've got the bootlegs of them playing Tommy in 1969, and I always thought it was a
Yeah.
very cunning way to introduce this new concept album.
Mike, this should be a 3 hour interview. This is what I mean. We're going to talk about
Yeah,
a few little snippets here and there, and people are going to
yeah,
listen to it. But gee whiz, man, I'd love to get it into a conversation with you
yeah,
and sort of get deep down into feelings rather than just
yeah.
memories. But still, it's good. Okay, did you learn anything when you toured it? Did you learn anything like every time you bring out a new album and take it round? What sort of a crowd response did you learn something from the songs that got particular responses and all that sort of stuff? Like was it a
Yes. There were a few songs that I thought would be crowd favorites that weren't, and then other songs that I hadn't thought about that actually caught the crowd's imagination. It's always interesting when that happens because you just don't know. But sometimes I know, but often I don't. I remember when I wrote The Whole of the Moon, I thought, oh, people are going to love this, and I was right. But sometimes I think a song's like a possible single, and then actually nobody really digs it. And the one that I've missed or not paid attention to is the one that everybody loves.
okay, as one of the best live bands in the world, that was in quotation marks, so it's not just
Yeah,
my opinion, it's other people's opinion. Uh, you have the tour coming up in May. What are you looking forward to? You've been out here many times, I presume.
I've been there twice to play and once on holiday.
Really, only three
Yeah,
times
yeah,
in that whole period. I mean,
yeah,
Australian muso fans uh,
yeah.
you know, I think we made ABBA to start with and all that sort of stuff. They can really
Mhm.
be pretty prolific. So I'm sure you must be looking forward to. When was the last time you were here?
2015.
Oh, they'll be they'll be sure the shows, I hope they're sold out. They must be sold out or close to it.
They're doing pretty well. We sold out a number of them, and we added second shows in Perth and Sydney after selling out.
Oh,
So I'm very
fantastic,
pleased.
fantastic. It's going to be a ball. So what are you looking for? Is there anywhere you're looking forward to specifically, or are you looking forward to, hugging a koala or anything like that? Anything,
I'd like to take a stroll. I'd like to take a stroll down Brunswick Street in Melbourne.
really?
Yeah, one of my favorite freak streets.
Oh, memories
I do.
from
I think every city should have a freak street, but unfortunately, every city doesn't. But Melbourne does.
Melbourne. Melbourne does. Melbourne's
Yeah,
eclectic, so it has its.
yeah,
Although it's that's all. The world's changing, unfortunately, and it's all
yeah.
becoming this social media bullshit is changing everyone over time. Okay, we're going to have about 5 minutes of stupid questions, if that's all right, because
Okay,
these are the
all right.
questions that people enjoy for some reason. If you could perform with any music artist, alive or dead, who would you choose?
Nicky Hopkins.
Nicky Hopkins
Yeah,
from
the great piano player. He
oh
played with the Who, the Kinks, the Rolling Stones, and the Beatles.
unbelievable. I'm gonna check that out. I'm gonna look him up.
Yeah.
Wow. Um, just another thing before we go on to these questions. You've said you were spiritual, and at one stage you were labelled as Christian rock, which I find
Oh
hard to
God.
believe. That's what they said.
Yeah.
That's what it said
Nah,
by
never,
some.
ever, ever.
How
I've
does
never been
spirit
a Christian.
how does spirituality play a part in your life these days? Like as you
Well,
get
do you know,
older, the normal,
well, I
oh,
lived in a spiritual community for some years
as
in
in a
Scotland.
Buddhist, the Ashrami type arrangement.
Well, there were Buddhists there, but there were people of different persuasions as well. It is the Findhorn community in Scotland. There were even some Aussies there.
Uh-huh.
And it was a wonderful place, and I learned a lot. It was a holistic community, you could say. And it influenced me a lot. But I've never been a Christian. I've never
No,
liked Christianity.
no.
And I would object very strongly to being labeled as Christian rock.
Well, it was
It's a
written somewhere
dirty
that I was.
fucking lie.
I'll get it removed.
Uh,
I'll get the
thank
solicitors
you.
on it in the morning.
Thank
We'll
you.
get it.
Thank you.
We'll get it removed. So I think personally, I think, and especially as we get older, uh, you've got to be you to really play your best you. So if you're going to be a muso, you've got to be courageous enough to do you at some stage and then
Yeah.
keep doing
Yeah.
you, because
Yeah.
basically, as soon as you start trying to follow some trend or start trying to take advantage or follow what the label says or something like that, I think that's like prison. So no matter what they
Yeah.
pay you,
Yeah.
no value in being in prison. All right. What about aspirations? You still have long-term aspirations, being a youngster, still being a young man.
I'd like to sell more records than I do. I'd like to be more famous as a band than we are. Still stuff like that.
Okay, so still be have more people listen to the music. That's fair enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, what's the best thing about performing to a live audience? Now,
What's the best thing?
having thought about Freddie and Live Aid and half Mike and 500 whatever thousand fans at Wembley, that must be something that you never get over. So is it really the throngs of a crowd? Can it be a small show? What feeds you from a live audience perspective?
The biggest payoff for me is when the music takes wings, and that's a feeling like walking on water. And we sometimes happens when we're improvising, or when the music is telling me what to do in advance. As a singer, when I'm on stage, often I have this experience where the phrasing of the next line sort of appears in my mind's eye before I sing it. And that if I obey that, it leads me into very potent musical places. And for
That,
me, that's the best thing about playing live.
that's what I call consciousness. That's Taoism. Let life take
Yeah.
you where it take you.
Yep.
So it just brings you along. So well done. I think that's
Yeah. Thank
fantastic.
you.
Okay, here's some stupid questions. What's the craziest thing you've ever done? Although you might not be able to say so because you've got to come out.
Craziest.
You've got to come
Craziest.
out of it. Your visa
I don't
might not
know.
allow you to say give an answer.
I don't
So
know.
we'll leave it. What's one
Okay.
topic you can talk about for hours?
History of music.
And you keep up with it?
No, I don't keep up with the history
Oh,
of
just
modern
just
music,
just
just
it's there.
older
It's
music.
there.
But
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
sufficient of interest to keep me engaged today.
No, I get it. I get it. I get it. That's part of the conversation I'd love to have because you know, the thing that people don't understand is like, we were brought up in black and white TV and,
Mm,
nothing anywhere. You had to have time to bloody sit on your own on the weekend. And no one,
yeah,
everyone's got a bloody phone that they live with in their
yeah,
bedroom. So people
yes.
don't understand the difference. I think it'll be good for them to learn that. What's the one thing you like most about yourself?
That I listen to myself and
You
pay
still got
attention.
hair, that's one thing.
Yeah, and I do what I do what I feel is right.
Yeah, you look to be that sort of guy. Okay, here we go. This is the end. All time or just now. Favorite album? I should send these ahead of time just so people can have a bit of a mull about it.
Favorite album. Ooh.
You,
Let's
you,
Get It
you,
On by Marvin Gaye.
ah, what a great album. You
Yeah,
know, what gets me is I interview a lot of people and I interview a lot of, I'll call you an old timer, but with respect. I interview a
yeah,
lot of old
yeah,
timers, and a lot of their favorites come from 40 years ago.
yeah.
Which isn't strange, but I mean
No.
it's strange when you think about the fact that they've heard so much music since, but they're
Mm,
always drawn back to
mm.
some uh, uh,
Well, that
and
period of time.
a lot of them are black blues artists and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Just
yeah,
amazing.
but that was a golden period for music. The combination of cultural movements and technology and the receptiveness of the audience created a golden age from the mid 50s to the mid 70s, and nothing that's happened since has come close to it. And it's not just a case of liking the music of your youth,
No,
because some of it predates my youth, but
yeah.
I recognize that it was the golden time.
Favorite artist,
Bob Dylan,
legend. Favorite movie.
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Favorite, all of them come to mind so readily. Favorite place to visit, and you've been to a lot of places.
Mm, Venice,
Oh, the Waterways. Favorite venue to play, and you've played a lot of
Barrowland,
venues. What's that?
Barrowland Ballroom, Glasgow.
What was that? What was it called?
The Barrowland
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Ballroom,
yeah. Someone
Glasgow.
else, a few other people have said that.
Yeah.
Favorite food,
Pasta.
pasta. Favorite drink.
I have a weakness for fruit smoothies or coffee flavored smoothies.
I'm not sure it's a weakness, but that's all right. A weakness. That sounds like you can't go to bed without one. Favorite person in history, apart from me.
Sitting Bull, the American Indian chief.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know much about Sitting Bull?
Yes, of course.
Well, what a legendary time.
Yeah.
Again, history. It's such a great thing. History. It's such it
Yeah.
informs you and it moves
Yeah.
you. And
Also, one of my heroes is Raoul Wallenberg, who was a diplomat who saved Jews during the Second World War.
like as in a Schindler sort of situation, similar.
Yes, yes, indeed. A real life. Well, Schindler was real life too. But he saved, I think, thousands of Jews in Eastern Europe.
Well, I
Yeah.
tell you what, we need someone to go. No, I better not say what I'm going to say, but we need something fixed over in you know, when you think the one thing they did with USAID costs like 50,000 lives a month in Africa. It's just a crazy old
Yes.
world when we allow that to
Yes.
take place. But
Yes.
but that's another conversation we can't get into. And last question is, and you can't be a clean skin. You must have a tattoo.
A tattoo.
Yeah.
No, never had a tattoo.
Never had a
Never
tattoo,
dyed my hair, never had a tattoo.
and you call yourself a muso, and you've never had a tattoo.
Yeah.
That's it, mate. That's it, Mike. I hope
All right, Dave.
I did the 20 minutes justice or whatever. I hope I didn't bore you too much. I
It was
thought it
jolly
was.
good fun.
I really enjoyed it, and
Thank you.
I look forward to when you're coming out. I'm going to try and get to a show, even though I'm old and
Okay.
it's hard to stand up at those places.
Yeah.
But I
Are
look
you in
forward to it.
Sydney?
I'm in Melbourne.
Oh, you're in Melbourne. Oh, God, I hope you'll come along.
Where are you playing in Melbourne? Do you know?
My God. Oh, my
I'll find
God.
out
What's it
for you.
called?
Just one second.
Yeah.
So in Melbourne, you're playing the Palais. Oh my goodness.
Mm.
I will. I'll try and get down to the Palais. The Palais. Have you played the Palais before?
No, I haven't.
It's an old. It's probably a turn of the. It's probably a turn of the 20th century. Maybe even before. Maybe 1800s theatre. So it's
Okay.
been up for a long time. They've done some renovations inside, obviously, over time, but the building itself is pretty cool, and the acoustics are pretty cool. So
Okay.
it's like a place where they do a lot of, or they used to do a lot of musical theatre and stuff like that. So it had to
Okay.
carry the sound everywhere around for people to
Mhm.
sort of enjoy. So I look forward to it. I'm going to try and get there, but
Great.
if I don't get there, if there's anything ever, not that, we're only one publication amongst a billion of them, but if
Yeah.
there's ever anything you want done, just shout out over here and we'll get it done.
Thank you.
Good on
Thank
you,
you,
brother.
Dave.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time
Thank you.
and
So long.
and love life. See you, buddy.
Farewell.
Bye bye.